Howdy folks, just want to give you a quick walk around and tour of the aquaponics system for 2024 as it stands now. So apologies if the camera works a little bit shaky. I haven't done this in a bit. So out with the stick and yeah, we'll take a look around. So we're going to do a full walk through the water loop just so you can all see what it is I'm doing, how it works, and I'll talk about some of the plans that we got going on. First off, apologies in advance for all the stuff laying around. Construction site, right? I'm still building, so I tend to just leave stuff scattered about until I'm done working and then put it all away. So let's talk. The system, if you will, has got a heart and lungs, and the heart is down there. That's my sump, right? And that, you can see that metal object there down there, has got the pump in it. So we'll talk about the water loop, which is from this piece of pipe up here, and it gets this manifold. Some of the water goes straight back down, and you'll notice it goes into this piece of pipe. It goes from a 25 millimeter to a 50 millimeter, that's a 1 inch to a 2 inch, and then back inside. That, you'll notice there's a lot of bubbles down there. That's essentially a trompe. A modified version of a trompe air pipe. What I'm doing is dropping the water almost from about that point the whole way down into the water column, entrapping air into it, and then that's going out a piece of perforated pipe which bubbles. The other piece of the water comes up here, over, and into this tank. And if that is the heart, then this is the lungs. The way this thing works is it's going to fill with water until it gets level to the top of this. This, of course, is a U-siphon, right? And as per some of my earlier YouTube videos, I go from a 2 inch, right, 50 millimeter to a 1 inch 25 with a restrictor, 45 degree angle, up, over, down, and that turns this into a siphon. So it takes about 10 minutes to fill this tank to about there, and it takes about 2 minutes to empty it. The water gets shoved down this piece of pipe under pressure, fills up to here, and that puts this line here under pressure. About PSI. Can't remember what the KPA of that is. I think it's a sixth of a PSA. A sixth of a KPI. So part of the water goes that way, and part of the water goes that way. This is a valve. It's actually one of those type of valves with the orange handle on top. I've just taken the handle off so that it doesn't get bumped accidentally. So part of the water goes this way into the grow bed and floods the grow bed. And then the remainder of the water goes this way, floods the grow bed. Now this one here, I'm still in the process of building it. I've got the bottom layer of gravel. If you look carefully there, you can see there's a piece of perforated pipe. I've got two of those. You can see the other one there. So there's one there and one there. And they run the width of the way over. And that green is a gravel guard. There's a drain under it. I'll show you what it looks like with the other one. And that's an overflow that I'm in the process of building. So that's where the water goes. And that piece of pipe goes all the way down to the bottom of the grow bed. So it floods the grow bed evenly. And then those two pieces of perforated make sure that there's an even way to drain. And the inside of that piece of perforated pipe looks like this. You can see there's a drain down the bottom, and you can see the two pieces. So all of the water fills this thing up. The high water mark is just about there. You can see that, right? The discoloration. So about 80% flood on the grow bed. You can see there's a little bit of dampness there, so I need to add a little bit of gravel, but it gives you an idea how much water comes into it. That is more than enough to wet these bags. These bags are recycled pop bottles is what they're made out of, right? You can get them on Amazon. And that's just a bucket with some perforations in it. So the bucket fills, that in turn wets the bag, the leca wicks the water up, the plants are in there, but it contains the root mass and everything else nice and tidy, and I'm just using gravel as my bulk filler and my biological surface area, right? So we'll go down here. Again, work in progress. I'm filtering gravel here, getting the worst of the dirt and small stuff out of it, and then that's what I'm filling the grow bed with. So this is what these pipes look like. Oops, sorry about that. Whoops, just about hurt myself. So that's what it looks like underneath the grow bed. So that is where the drain comes down, right? Comes here, fills up. This makes sure that there's a minimum level of water in the grow bed, and it floods these pipes. And the pipes run out over there. Now at both ends, the pipes are joined, so that even if one pipe gets partially root clogged or whatever, the same amount of water goes to each pipe. It can backflow. We'll come around over here. And that's what it looks like at this end. And yeah, it's a siphon, right? So again, we're joined. Both these pipes drain to the one piece, goes here, and goes out a couple of nozzles. You can see that I've got one there. That's 45 to 35 millimeter, I think, 37, 1.5 inch. And then that's a 50 millimeter, which is a 2-inch. And that creates a nice wide fan of water that does a lot of surface agitation. You'll notice the water's kind of green. We're still dealing with an algae bloom. That's all right. I'll show you why that's all right. I'm not worried about it. It's natural for a pond. And this is a pond, it's not a pool. It looks like a pool, but it's actually a pond. The roosters, by the way, can hear me talking, and so they want to contribute to the video, so you'll just have to say hi and accept them in the background. You'll notice, though, if you pay attention, you can see some of the fish swimming around. The water is cloudy, but it's not opaque, so it's not that bad. We've had a lot of very sunny days, and what's going to go over this frame is a sunshade, and that'll kill 80% of the sunlight coming into the pool, into the pond, and that'll fix most of that. The fuzzy that you see on the water is cat food. What I do every morning is I take 100 grams of cheap cat food, throw it into an old coffee grinder, shred it and dump it in, and that's what keeps the fish and the bacteria going every day. You get the idea. You've seen this on a prior video. That's my solar installation. It's working fine. I've got it turned off right now. We had a couple of cloudy days, so the battery's a little low. I have an air pump and a water pump, and those are responsible for keeping water flowing over here and air bubbling up around the steps. I've got an airlift pump here, and it's a pair of 50 millimeter 2-inch intakes. The yellow hose is an air line which goes in, and it just keeps pushing water up off the bottom, up to the surface. About every 2 days, I got to scrub the intakes to get all the algae off them. But it's, constant, steady trickle, and it's moving potentially low oxygen, high toxicity water up off the bottom, aerating the hell out of it, putting it up at the surface where it can denitrify and cause some surface agitation. So yeah, all good. The reality is that the actual water chemistry in the system is actually very good. Oh, the siphons are about to go. We'll take a walk over here and we'll show you what that looks like. So the big tank is just emptied. The grow beds are flooding. And yeah. And that's what it is. All right, so you can see lots of surface agitation, lots of aeration. And if you look in the pipe, you can see there's water flowing. There's water, not a great amount of water depth because I haven't bothered to level these pipes because I'm still doing construction. But there, the water comes up to about a finger underneath the bottom of the lip. Just enough we don't have to worry about spilling, but otherwise floods those two pretty well. Right. That's our That's our goose bath. So that's the reason the water is kind of a funny color there. The geese like that one for taking their baths. So putting water back into the system, so you got water coming there into here, and then we use some of the natural plumbing that's part of the pool, as well as an electric pump to get water into filtration. So this is a level drain. It goes into here, settling tank, pump up over into a settling tank, right? And I'm aerating it just to make sure that we don't have to worry about anything going foul in here. The bottom half of the tank is gravel, and the air pump you're seeing there the air stone's actually at the bottom of the tank, and that pipe goes all the way to the bottom, so that's pulling water in through the rock mass and up. And then we have the overflow comes here into here. This is a bog filter. I was experimenting with a couple things. Don't worry about these hoses. It's this piece of pipe brings the water through here. Water slowly moves. It has to go around here through this gravel mass, around this corner, into this pipe, and then flows back. We have another, it's about 1/3 of the water column down at that point, and that's this hose. I've got a valve there to regulate the return. Goes into here, and that's a mechanical filter. Just a very simple, standard piece of, right? And that's why I say I'm not too worried about the algae cloud. I clean this every 2 days, and we're doing great carbon sequestration right now using algae. I pull about 200 grams, a pound of algae out of the system every couple of days, and we're just using that as fertilizer. And this brings us back to the sump. You can see there's water coming from the two sides from the mechanical filter. We've got water. Well, there's nothing coming back right there because the water level's high enough. The yellow piece there is a float valve. If the water level in here goes too low, then it runs that pump and forces water through the system. And and then we're back to the sump and everything resumes. The bottle caps and stuff, if you've seen my prior videos, that's essentially a poor man's moving bed biofilter. I've asked all my friends to collect their bottle caps. Don't throw them out. Can't recycle them. So ditch them, keep them, give them to me. They wind up in here. And as you can see, the water churning down there because of the air injection. It churns the system up fairly regularly as the water in the sump ebbs and flows. That'll vary by 20 centimeters, 2/3 of a foot at any given time. So that introduces a lot of chaos. The pop bottles move around. They provide biological surface area, and that's it. And then so you can see the air injection. That's that piece of pipe there, and you can see the bubble mass, how well that's working, and that's free, right? It's not costing me anything to inject all that air into the sump and make sure that the water I'm using before it goes up to the grow beds is pretty clean and well aerated. And that's the underside of the grow beds there, looking the long way. This is a rainwater tank. If the pond is too full, I just hook a line up there, fill this tank up with the spare water, close the valve, and as natural evaporation takes place, I just top the system off using the recovered water. So that's the whole thing. The green bin here is going to get used as a worm bin. That's my later in the summer project, because this system here leaks a little bit. I'm always spilling water and stuff. We're going to use this as a worm bin. Fill the bottom up with a mixture of sand and some wood shavings, and then just pile kitchen scraps in on top of it. Let nature do what it does, and turn that into top dress for the various garden beds. So that's our aquaponics system. The greens are green, right? The reds are red. It's all looking pretty good. We had our first small harvest out of the system last night, in fact. Everything you're seeing here, by the way, is all edibles, obviously enough. Even the nasturtium flower plants back there, they're completely edible. So yeah, we're doing okay. So we had our first edible meal out of the system last night. I did a 1-leaf harvest on everything and used that as an omelet as part of supper. It was quite tasty, lots of good flavors. So, and that means lots of good nutrition, right? So that's the system. It seems like a lot, but it's actually very straightforward. I lift the water, officially I lift the water once, which is to get it up to here, right? And then I just let gravity do the rest of it. And then there's, you know, if I have to, I've got a helping hand over there with that pump. Other than that, most of what I'm doing is low wattage air pumps, just to ensure good aeration because I'm paranoid. And mixing pumps, just to keep the water moving so that the fish don't get bored. You know, the fish like to have a little current. This one here is still emptying. So that's the system. Thanks very much for joining me. I appreciate you hanging out. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please leave them down below in the comments section. I would love to hear from you. I'm really happy with this thing. It's doing everything I need it to do, and it makes me happy. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's going to be really cool. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. So we've got a grove of hops over here, right? My sweetie loves collecting the flowers and we've got a friend of ours who makes their own malt. So I'm going to transplant some of this into these buckets here. And then those buckets are going to get stood up here, and we're going to let this whole thing vine over with hops as a sunshade and a green wall. I think it's going to be really pretty. I forgot to mention that earlier. So yeah. So progress is progressing. I'm really pleased with how the system's coming. I'm hoping that next year we'll be able to do trout. Right now we have a mixture of goldfish and minnows in the system. But I could do 10, oops, one of the fish jumped. We could do 10 times the mass in this thing. We have so much water volume here. It's, what did I figure out? It's 11 cubic meters. It's 11 cubic meters. It's 11 tons. There's 11 tons of water in this thing, right? So you can work out from there. So 11 times 275. So yeah, 22,000 cubic feet of water, something like that, or 22,000 gallons, something like that. But you get the idea. So it's a huge water volume in this thing, which means it's almost biologically stable by itself. I almost don't need to worry about filtration or anything else, which is the reason I'm not too worried about the green. Yes, we'll come over and look in a minute. So, but yeah, we could easily do trout in here. But before I do that, this needed to be redone. So this is all new as of this year. All the grow beds have been moved, rebuilt. The pipe work has been redone, everything. So that's part of the reason it looks like a construction site. But this is basically going to be how it sits for the next couple of years, I hope. Maybe some modest tweaking, but that should be it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really cool. Let's go over and see the chickens and the geese because, well, they've been mouthing off. That is one of our Chanticleer roosters. He likes to be the center of attention. This fella here. You can see a variety of our hens, the chooks. And then we have our geese over here. That's an apple tree. That's a plum tree. You get the idea. They all think they're being let out, but I'm not doing that today. We got some yard maintenance to do, right? These grow beds all need to be cut out. We let everything go fallow last year. Give everything a break. That all needs to get cut back. But we're doing okay here. It's a very comfortable kind of thing. It's a no-mow May, so we haven't worried too much about the dandelions or anything like that, making sure that the pollinators have got a good opportunity. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you very much for hanging out. 20 minutes is a little longer than I expected to go, but I like to talk. It's been a while. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the system. As I said, if you have any comments, questions, suggestions below, please do let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And I guess we'll see you in the next one, whatever that is. Cheers.